Can you hear me okay? Great. Amaze balls. Oh, we've got a new truth. I should probably start with that, shouldn't I? Hey, Laura. Oh, my goodness me. We haven't really started yet. I jumped on early, just in case this was our last 5 minutes on the planet. I thought there's only one place I want to be, in the cafe with my girls. And guys, if any of you have popped in, you probably meant to take a different exit, but that's fine. We welcome you here. We welcome you all here. And if it's our last 3 minutes on the planet, we would spend them lovingly together. You even hear me swallowing. I'm so sorry, Amy. I could pause that and then I could just read it off the screen. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Let's just pause. Nice. Well, so looks like it's not tonight then. We're not all dying tonight, which is, reasonably good news, I suppose. Al Jazeera banner says Trump suspends attack. Well, I'm shocked. No, that is a good thing, Laura. Yes. Means we get even longer to spend with each other. So, hands up, all those who are surprised. When did he tweet that out? Truth it out. I can't see. Truth details. Let me see if I can see the details. Oh. Get rid of that. Come on. Doesn't say on there. Let's just pause that again then. So, nearly time to start. This has got to stop though. I mean, this is just insanity. Let me see if, while we're waiting for the clock to tick over, if I can find his tweet. I'm not calling it anything else. It's a fucking tweet. Right. It was 27 minutes ago. Wow. We are breaking the news, aren't we? Don't you love that? Have I ever broken news before? I don't think I have I? Well, get comfy then, folks, because we ain't going to die tonight. I mean, we might, but it's not going to be Donald Trump's fault. Well, it might be, but, it's not going to be nuclear holocaust just yet. So everybody get comfy. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is now midnight British summertime. I am Mama, and the cafe is open. So, we've got some breaking news. I know, it's exciting, isn't it? You've just got to be in the right place at the right time, I think, sometimes for breaking news. And as of 28 minutes ago, let me just check, it was 11:32 p.m. in the UK. So that is 28 minutes ago. Mr. Trump tweets out the following, and look, just so you can see. Oh, no, you can't. Oh, that's not very helpful, is it? Don't know if you can see that. There we go. Mr. Trump tweeting out the following at the long one, whatever time that says there, 11:32 p.m. British summertime. So that's 28 minutes ago. And I'll read from the screen because the kind folks at Al Jazeera have reported it. Dim screen. Oh yeah, I could, but I'm going to read it to you anyway. I'll post it. God. Let me try and post it. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to email it to somebody. No, you're all confusing me. Stop it. Right. I'll read it to you, okay? It'll be all over everywhere. Just go on Twitter. You'll be able to find it. But I will post it with the show notes just because, So, truth details. Posted 11:32 British summertime, 30 minutes ago exactly. Based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the capitals, complete, immediate, lowercase and capitals, safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of anybody want to have a guess what period he's suspended the bombing for? Put it in the comments and then I'll tell you if you're right at the end. This will be a double-sided open caps lock even ceasefire exclamation point. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military, with a capital M, objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement, with a capital A, concerning long-term, one word, capital L, peace, all caps, with Iran, and peace, all caps, in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but yes, you all got but a 2-week period will allow the agreement with a capital A to be finalized and consummated. I say, folks, on behalf of the United States of America, as president and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor, with a capital H, to have this long-term, one word with a capital L, problem close to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Well, that's a bit of a shocker, isn't it? And well done to my awesome team for all getting 2 weeks correct. That was the exam. You've all passed. You all get distinction. And Summer doesn't because she was late. So she'll never know what the exam was, and she'll never know about all the wonderful prizes that I've been giving out because she just, she's 5 minutes late. Sorry, Summer. Anyway, just to update Summer, apparently war's off for 2 weeks. So, I will. My mission in life, and it's a little churlish for a 50-year-old woman, mother of 2 boys, to have as a mission in life, that my mission is to get blocked on a social media platform by Donald Trump. Now, I tried during Trump 1.0 on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. But no, he just kind of ignored me, which is really, really annoying. So, if you've ever got a troll, annoy them because they really ignore them because they find it really annoying. Yeah. So now, my mission is to get banned from Truth Social. But if I get banned from Truth Social, one of you is going to have to get an account. So just saying. Anyway, shall we kick off with what we're looking at tonight, because as far as I'm concerned, it's still absolutely as relevant as it was 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, half an hour ago. When did he 2016? 10 years ago. So, let's dig in. But first, may I share with you a statement on Donald Trump's threat to kill a whole civilization from the House Democratic leadership? May I? If the answer is no, you're going to ruin my plans, rather, because that's what I've got here. So, Kiki, welcome. Lovely to see you earlier in Karma's live. Karma just kind of woke us up to where we might be heading today. And if Kiki, you haven't caught the latest Truth Social, at 28 minutes past, was it 28 minutes past or was it 32? 32 minutes past 11 British summertime, which was about 35 minutes ago, wherever you are. It was 35 minutes ago, wherever in the world we are in this alternate universe that we live. Anyway, so the war's off for 2 weeks. So that's great because, apparently the 10-point plan from Iran is Gucci. We're happy with that. As far as I know, it was the same 10 points as it was before. So I'm not entirely sure why now it's a good idea, but we'll take it. 2 more weeks altogether. That's like 6 more shows at least. So yeah, let's crack on and see if we can't change the world a little bit in the 2 weeks that we've got. So we've done the truth from Mr. Trump saying you've got 2 weeks, it's all good, nobody's going to die tonight. Although the way they've been bombing shit out of Iran today, not sure that's strictly true. And now we're moving on to a statement on Donald Trump's threat to kill a whole civilization from the House Democratic leadership. Are you all comfortable? Have you all got your bean bags? Are you all in your comfy chair with your big snuggly blanket, your very, very large drink? Not you, Laura. Everybody else with your very, very large drink. Laura, go full fat Dr. Pepper if you want to go crazy. All right, that's I'll allow that. Anyway, and we're not sponsored by Dr. Pepper, but if you're looking for somebody to sponsor Dr. Pepper. Anyway, I digress. Today, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, I know. I incite that response in most people. It's not always good when they are actually in the same room with me and they want to argue back, but I do elicit a response often. So Summer, you just keep talking at me, my darling. I hear you in here. That's where I hear you. Does this ceasefire include Israel? Double DDP. Oh, I don't fucking know, Laura. Does anybody know what Israel's up to? I nearly said, does anybody know what Laura's up to? But unfortunately, we do. No green light. If you were there, you were there. Okay. So today, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, Democratic whip Catherine Clark, Democratic caucus chair Pete Aguilar, Democratic Caucus Vice Chair Ted Lieu, Assistant Democratic Leader Joe Neguse, and DCCC Chair Suzanne Del Bene released the following statement. Make sure you're comfy. It's not a long one, but it starts beautifully. Donald Trump is completely unhinged. Full stop. I mean, they could have just left it there, but they didn't. They carried on. His statement threatening to eradicate an entire civilization shocks the conscience and requires a decisive congressional response. The House must come back into session immediately and vote to end this reckless war of choice in the Middle East before Donald Trump plunges our country into World War III. For years, Republicans have enabled and excused Donald Trump's deeply dangerous and extreme behavior. Enough is enough. Our brave men and women in uniform have been put into harm's way in the Middle East. Over a dozen have already been killed and hundreds injured. Gas prices are skyrocketing, the cost of living in America is out of control, and billions of taxpayer dollars are being wasted on a reckless war of choice. It's time for House Republicans to put patriotic duty over party loyalty and join Democrats in stopping this madness. And I don't think there's a single one among us who would disagree. So, what are our options? Realistically, what are our options? Well, bugger all. I mean, I could just end there. But let's assume, being a democratic nation, that we have options. And when I say we, I'm speaking as an American adjacent person. I identify as an American sometimes. I feel your pain, put it that way. So, there has been a lot of talk today, not surprisingly, and it certainly was hinted at there in Jeffrey's statement, well, the Democrats' statement, that Grandpa's gone Looney Tunes. So, what's the option if Grandpa really has gone Looney Tunes? And as we all know, it's the 25th Amendment. And we've been talking 25th Amendment since I think him coming down on that gold escalator. I think it's pretty much that's when it started. May have been a little before that, but that's when I remember us all trying to look for an out. So, what is the 25th Amendment? What does it say? How does it apply? How could we use it? Could we use it? Who do we need? What do we need? What are the facts? Let's dive in. So, the 25th Amendment was born from grief and Cold War panic. When President John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November the 22nd, 1963, it created moments of chaos in the federal government. Vice President Johnson was in the same motorcade, and early reports, which later proved false, suggested he too had been shot. The question of who was running the most powerful country on earth was, for a few terrible hours, genuinely unclear. Not like today, when nobody's got any fucking idea who's running it. I think it's Benjamin Netanyahu, but it might be Vladimir Putin. So I don't know I don't know if it's like a job share between the two of them. So Congress had been debating a succession amendment already prior to the assassination. The Cold War between the East and the West demanded clarity. Yeah, it is, Kiki, both. About who held the nuclear codes at all times. And oh my God, do we wish we'd come up with a different answer to the question, who should hold the nuclear codes? But we didn't. We are where we are. Kennedy's death made delay unconscionable because at that time, I know it seems like a lifetime away, nuclear Armageddon was a real possibility. How far we've come, or not, as the case may be. And the idea that our adversaries would see this moment of weakness, this predicament of losing the head of the free world and there being no replacement, could be enough enticement for them to go for broke. So we needed to make sure that somebody on our side, the good guys, was still in control. So on January the 6th, 1965, Senator Birch Bayh, that's Bayh of Indiana, a Democrat, and Representative Emanuel Seller of New York, also a Democrat, introduced joint resolutions in the Senate and House to fix the problem for good. Worth noting, the amendment was genuinely bipartisan in its crafting. Do you remember when we used to do that? Bipartisan. People used to think what's in the best interest of the country and came to some sort of agreement on it. You don't remember? No. I read it somewhere. It was a thing, I swear. Yes. Important provisions in the amendment traced back to the Eisenhower administration, and Republican figures helped shape it. 2 Democrats drafted it, a Republican president helped design it, and a Democratic president signed it. That's how it used to work, apparently. Ask your grandparents, they might remember. LBJ speaking at the ratification ceremony on February 23rd, 1967. That's so funny. So Kennedy was assassinated 2 days before my birthday. I wasn't born then. And then they signed this. The ratification ceremony was on my sister's birthday. Spooky. The following year. She wasn't born then either. But it just, when you see dates that are important to you, you're like, oh, that's my sister's birthday. So February 23rd, 1967, this was ratified. And it pointed to the historical near misses that made the amendment necessary. So they went right back and made the case that it wasn't just this one-off freak, horrific event, but there have been moments and we need to have a plan. So in 1881, President Garfield lingered near death for 80 days before dying of his wounds. President Woodrow Wilson was virtually easy for me to say, incommunicado for many months after a stroke, and still dismissed his Secretary of State for daring to convene a cabinet meeting without him. They were determined it would never happen again. So the 4 sections in plain English. 1. If the president dies, resigns, or is removed, the vice president becomes president. Full stop, no ambiguity. Section 2. If the vice presidency falls vacant, the president nominates a replacement subject to a majority vote of both houses of Congress. And that was used most recently in 1973 when Gerald Ford replaced the disgraced Spiro Agnew. Section 3. The president can voluntarily hand power to the VP in writing for surgery, for example. And that's happened a few times in all of our living memories. Power returns to the president when he writes to say, I'm back. Let's do that. Get him the surgery and then hide his Sharpie. We could do that, couldn't we? We could get him to sign it over, say, yeah, we just write a little letter when you're feeling better and we'll give it back to you and then we'll hide the Sharpie. We've got options, people. You've got to think outside the box. It's getting serious. Yes, so Ronald Reagan and both Bushes underwent medical procedures and used this Section 3 of the 25th Amendment. And Section 4 is the nuclear option. And I don't mean nuclear in the way we've been talking about it all day today, not that kind of nuclear. It's never been used. It's what everybody's talking about right now. It's how to get rid of the stubborn orange stain that just won't go. So the closest we've ever come to Section 4, that was actually post January the 6th. What is there in common with who was president on January the 6th, 2020, and who's president now? Anything? Can anybody think of any commonalities? Any recurring issues that may be the root cause for us thinking the president's a fucking lunatic? Allegedly. The cabinet members did consider it, but Pence refused. We knew that. That's why we are where we are, isn't it, folks? So before we get into the mechanics, would you like to hear the actual words? Of course you would, because you're patriotic Americans, Canadians, Brits, and whoever else happens to be watching. This is Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution verbatim. Whenever the Vice President and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other bodies as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. The Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting President. Thereafter, when the President transmits to them a written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the Vice President and a majority of either the principal officers of the Executive Department or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit within 4 days their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Thereupon, Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for that purpose, if not in session. If the Congress, within 21 days after receipt of the latter written declaration, determines by 2/3 vote of both houses that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the Vice President shall continue to discharge the same as acting President. Otherwise, the President shall resume the powers and duties of his office. Interestingly, I seem to remember, I think it might be in Jamie Raskin's wonderful book, I think it's called Unthinkable. And it's predominantly focusing on what happened around January the 6th, but also the terrible tragedy that befell his poor family when they lost their eldest child. I'm sure it's this that he points to, where it says or such other body. And he was kind of musing the idea that we might be able to create a body for such eventuality, to a bipartisan body to be able to declare Grandpa's gone gaga, basically. Because it's never going to be grandma. Sorry, folks. I knew this when I was a teenager. Doesn't mean we stop fighting. Anywho, would you like me to translate that into human? Of course you would. So, step 1. J.D. Vance and a majority of the 15 cabinet secretaries write a declaration signed that Trump is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. So that's minimum 8 out of the 15 to make a majority. Step 2, the declaration goes to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House. Vance immediately becomes acting president. Step 3, Trump can contest it by sending his own written declaration that he's perfectly fine, thank you very much, and he'd like his football back. Step 4, if Trump contests it, the cabinet has 4 days to reaffirm their original declaration. Step 5, Congress then assembles within 48 hours and has 21 days to decide by 2/3 majority in both houses whether Trump stays out or comes back. So that's 290 votes in the House and 67 in the Senate. So they're the golden numbers. And it looks a bit pretty fucking bleak, doesn't it? Can you think of 8 of Trump's lackeys in his administration that would dare sign that, even if we could persuade Vance that it's in his best interests? So, who would have to move and who ain't gonna move? Vance is the keystone, and he's in Hungary sticking his tongue up Viktor Orban's colon, allegedly. Nothing happens without Vance. He would have to be willing to declare his own president, daddy, incapacitated, and then hold that position even if and when, because we know it'll be when, Trump pushes back. He would. Of course he would. He's going to go down screaming like a bitch, in my opinion. There's also a legal wrinkle worth mentioning, which is might be a bit fly ointmenty if we ever got that far, but I don't think we will. But we'll mention it because we bring the facts. You know how we work. Some of Trump's cabinet positions are held by acting or temporarily appointed officials. For example, where somebody may have recently been sacked, for example, or their replacement not yet confirmed. Legal commentary suggests Trump could challenge whether those acting officers count toward the required majority, creating grounds for litigation even before it gets to Congress for a vote. As one columnist put it with admirable bluntness, requiring Vance to declare Trump unable to serve is, and I quote, an extremely unlikely scenario. And that's from someone who isn't even a MAGA loyalist. The people who need to move are the people who got him where they are by serving his every whim. They ain't going to go against daddy. Hey, Beverly, welcome. Come in. We're just having a look at the 25th Amendment. A little bit, what's the word? Well, you don't really have much of a hope, but, you do it anyway. That's what we're doing. So, the process, in brief, Vice President, Cabinet majority, they give a written declaration, which they sign. Then the Congress gets it. They have to decide by 2/3 in both houses within 21 days. Never happened. Can't see that it ever will. Certainly, it's not our strongest option, put it that way. Welcome, Charles. Come in, get comfy. Grab your beanbag or snuggle into your comfy chair and get a big drink because although nuclear war has been put off for 2 weeks, which is great, and we're all chuffed as monkeys about that. We still think we ought to maybe have a look at just exactly what options we've got. And the 25th Amendment is a little bit of a sticky one. So, why is the conversation happening? Well, again, there's a short version. Trump's a fucking loon, in my opinion, allegedly. And then there's the longer version. And you know me, why use 5 words when 3 pages of A4 does the job? So let's dig in. Easter Sunday, 8:03 a.m. ET. Who the fuck gets up at 8:03 a.m. on Easter Sunday? The post that launched 1,000 headlines. We all know what post. Where Donnie said a rude word. He actually said 2 rude words, but one was really fucking rude. So, this is what the President of the United States published to his Truth Social account on Easter morning, April 5th, 2026. Now, you don't actually need me to tell you this because we've probably all memorized it. We've seen it that often over the last 48 hours, but I'll tell you anyway. After the successful rescue of the American airmen, which under normal circumstances would be the big story that he'd want everyone's attention to be laser focused on. No, 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 no. It's all about Donnie. I have never seen a bigger pick me in my life. Donnie says, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one, in Iran. Somebody needs to tell this man how to use commas. It's appalling. Sorry, pedant. There will be nothing like it. 3 exclamation points. Open the fucking straight. Fucking, not even fucking. Fucking. He's like, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell with a capital H. Just watch, all capitalized. Praise be to Allah. And I'm so sorry. I mean that with absolutely no disrespect whatsoever. Please forgive me. I do not mean to take the name of your God in vain. Any Muslim friends out there, I'm just reading what the orange arsehole wrote. So, that's one thing. Then we've got the little manner of the war crimes. Well, I say that's one thing. I mean, it's one thing and two things. It's one thing that the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, the boss of democracy on the planet, is swearing and cursing in a social media post. Little bit fucking loony, if you ask me. But yeah, I know it's not gonna fly. We got other stuff. I mean, to be fair, what we got also isn't gonna fly, but while we're talking, at least we feel like we've got some hope. And don't forget, there is one thing that could still save the day, but I'm not gonna tell you now, you have to stay to the end. So, the real reason why that tweet was so egregious is not the appalling language, which, we don't mind. We can potty mouth with the best of them. It's the fact that what Trump was describing, bombing power plants and bridges, isn't just aggressive. Legal experts say it is potentially criminal under international law. It is a potential. No, Laura, no green light. Green. It's a potential war crime that he's just, written on the internet forever. The amount of screenshots, that's probably the most screenshotted thing on the internet ever, if not at least this week after what's his face's fake boobies. But we're not going there because that's entirely his business and we don't think shame around here. CNN's Farid Zakaria put it plainly. Attacks on basic energy infrastructure have, and I quote, traditionally been considered a war crime, end quote, and appear to be, quote, a violation of the Geneva Convention on plain reading. Thank you, team. Sorry about that. Is that better? I am saving up for a new one. I think I've just dropped this one on its head too many times. Am I not? Am I not a robot? Have I stopped being a robot? Yes, good. Sorry about that. What little thing. Okay. I blame Solly, but he's just a cat, so really, where you gotta look. Yes, so CNN's Farid Zakaria put it plainly. Attacks on basic energy infrastructure have traditionally been considered a war crime and appear to be a violation of the Geneva Convention on plain reading. Amnesty International's senior director told The Guardian, even in the limited cases where power plants qualify as military targets, an attack still cannot proceed if it causes disproportionate harm to civilians. Now, there was a lot of talk earlier this evening. He did. He has big kitty eyes, but it's all a ruse. Don't be taken in by those big kitty eyes, Amy. He's a naughty, naughty boy. He's so lovely and fluffy. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. A lot of the talk this evening was that the hum around the White House or the Pentagon was that they were going to find targets which could have dual use, so civilian and military, and then they could say that they were targeting them for military reasons because they have military capabilities, and if a few thousand Iranians die, well, say it with me, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Just that I'm quoting Shrek. It is not a sacrifice any of us in this chat are willing to make. Not even one. Not even the really bad ones. Lock them up. Amnesty International's went on to say, given that such infrastructure serves tens of millions of people's basic needs, attacking it would be unlawful under international humanitarian law and would amount to a war crime. So even if they're not killing civilians with these attacks, even if they're not civilians at the target location, if civilians' lives are so dramatically harmed by whatever it is that you've destroyed, that's still an attack on civilians and it's still very potentially a war crime, according to the Geneva Convention. Over 100 US based legal experts have already declared the strikes on Iran as possible war crimes. So that's what they're saying. I am giving you what the smart people are saying. Not my opinion, just what the smart people are saying. So then we had the press conference. So if we thought Grandpa was losing it on Easter Sunday, he doubled down on Easter Monday. So he said, and I quote, "We have a plan because of the power of our military where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again." Good that the diplomacy classes are taking. Anyway, that's good. When a New York Times reporter raised the Geneva Convention and asked whether this amounted to war crimes, and we all watched this live as it happened in our little coven, Trump asked what paper the reporter worked for and said their circulation was down. It isn't, by the way. I know, he lied. He maybe just made a mistake. He bitterly recalled their 2024 election coverage. I mean, for fuck's sake, move on, man. And then said, and I quote, "I hope I don't have to do it." Oh, okay. I hope I don't have to murder my kids. I'm not going to murder my kids. They're wonderful and lovely, and there's literally no reason I would ever want to murder my kids. They're wonderful. But, I hope I don't have to. He then argued that preventing Iran from having a nuclear weapon justified breaking international law. So that's all fine. Hey, Anna, come in, get comfy. We're just having a look at the 25th Amendment, what it says, how it can be enacted, how it's really never going to be, and why we think Grandpa might go on gaga. So it also appeared during that briefing at some points that he was struggling to keep his eyes open. And to be fair, after an hour of that drivel, the rest of us were struggling to keep our eyes open as well. So, fair's fair. It's been building, though, that none of us are thinking, oh, that does sound a bit odd. I wonder if he's okay. NBC anchor Katie Tur used a live broadcast to ask in her own voice on daytime television, is his head in the presidency? Does he have the mental acuity to lead this country? Quote. She cited polling suggesting a majority of Americans now doubt his sharpness and stability, the ones with more than 5 brain cells anyway, which includes everyone, okay, just so you know. She also cited episodes of apparent sleeping during cabinet meetings and Oval Office visits. Well, we've all seen them. I mean, I do the resting my eyes thing, but that is proper grandpa napping. Earlier in 2026, Trump renewed his threats to take over Greenland, as we all heard, apart from we all heard him threaten 4 times to take over Iceland, which is very funny in the UK because Iceland is a frozen food retailer. So the jokes write themselves. 4 times. But, it's an easy mistake and anyone could make it. So let's not judge because we don't do that here. Medical analyst Dr. Vin Gupta, who we're all familiar with, wrote on social media, quote, "Erratic, can't finish sentences, often confused, illogical train of thought, word finding difficulties, developing and worsening gradually over time. The president is exhibiting all the signs of dementia." A psychologist cited in reporting noted that frontotemporal dementia is primarily a behavioral rather than a memory problem, which would explain an awful lot. though they added that Trump is also exhibiting some memory deficits. No clinical diagnosis has been made publicly, so we just need to note that for accuracy. While professionals are observing the commander in chief, the leader of the military forces starting World War III over in the Persian Gulf, none of them are able to diagnose him. And none of his able physicians, isn't one of them a chiropractor or something? None of them have diagnosed it either. So we just don't know. To suggest that he's a demented old bat would be purely supposition and our opinion, allegedly. Former White House counsel Ty Cobb, with the most wonderful moustache I've ever seen, who served Trump in his first term, said, quote, given the fact that the cabinet will not invoke the 25th Amendment for a man who is clearly insane, these screeds that come out nightly at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m., whatever time Trump decides to vent without oversight, it highlights the level of his insanity and depravity. Well said, sir. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called for a wellness check. Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari called Trump a deranged lunatic and a national security threat. That's Yasmin Ansari calling him a deranged lunatic. We are just quoting Yasmin Ansari calling President Trump a deranged lunatic. And we are making no judgment as to whether we think he's a deranged fucking lunatic. He may be, he might not be. The Iranian embassy in South Africa, they also had something to say on the subject, and they urged the American cabinet to, quote, seriously think about the 25th Amendment, Section 4. And now we all know exactly what the 25th Amendment, Section 4 is, because we did our homework and we come here to learn. Every day is a school day. Even MTG, the Marge, she, the standard bearer of MAGA loyalty, has become increasingly disillusioned, and we've witnessed it in real time, especially over the handling of the Epstein files. Epstein files. Has anybody mentioned the Epstein files recently? There's these files, basically, they detail the awful, depraved behavior of sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and all his wealthy cronies. And Donald Trump's name is mentioned more than anybody after Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Just saying, just so you know what the Epstein files is, just in case anybody is unsure what the Epstein files is that I'm talking about. It's the ones where there is a suggestion that Donald Trump may have been involved in the sexual abuse of young women and girls over many years, or at least knew about it. That's the Epstein files with Donald Trump's name in it, an awful fucking lot. Just clearing that up. So is Barack Obama and Clinton. No, their names are in it. Their names are absolutely in it, Charles, absolutely. And it is all about context. And until we get the other millions of pages, we're never going to know what the context is, are we? But there don't appear to be the same sorts of allegations towards Barack Obama and Clinton. David Cameron's name's in there. Rishi Sunak, two former prime ministers of my own country. Their names are in there also. There are lots of names of people in there. Just, they are. Which bit's not so? David Cameron and Rishi Sunak, that is absolutely so, because I've looked them up. I've been into the Epstein library and had a look. They're absolutely there. But yeah, context is key. So we just don't know. And I'm not alleging that adjudicated sexual offender Donald Trump has done anything untoward, but we do need to wait till the info comes out. You're absolutely right, Charles. It would be wrong, and it would go against everything we all believe in a person's right to be innocent until proven guilty. We just question the double standards in the system that were it one of us, the investigation, the evidence would have been thoroughly analysed, and there'd be some sort of clear oversight. And I think that that frustrates us an awful lot. But I appreciate you keeping us on track. There is nothing more frustrating than listening to someone who you think might be on the same page as you politically or socially or morally, and then they go off on a crazy tangent to drink some other Kool-Aid. We don't know. We'd like to know. We don't even need to know. I don't need to know. Can I just make this clear? I do not need to know what's in the Epstein files. Law enforcement need to know, and law enforcement need to prosecute anybody, or at least investigate anybody with allegations against them, so those poor women can get justice. That's who needs to know. I don't. I will happily die never knowing whether Donald Trump has done anything wrong in the eyes of the law according to the Epstein files. I never need to know it. Die happy if the Epstein victims get some justice. Anyway, sorry, we digress. Yes, thank you. Some is our resident retired law enforcement officer. If he is guilty, Brian, yeah, get quite right. I mean, I don't do the whole frying thing, but I'm British. We don't do that anymore. I mean, we never did. We did that. Sorry, that was maybe a bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is a double standard. We do desperately. I don't think whatever color your football shirt is, or your football scarf is, your tie. I don't think whatever side of the aisle you're on, you disagree about wanting laws to apply equally to everyone, and there to be justice for anyone who's victimized. I think we can all agree on that, and that's okay. We don't have to agree on politics. We don't have to agree on the right way to run a country, because I'll be the first person to say I have no fucking idea how to run a country. I just know when things I hear don't sound fair, don't sound just, don't sound humane. After that, don't have a fucking clue. Leave that to people better qualified than I am, we hope. Anyway, so Marjorie Taylor Greene, back to her, she wrote a lengthy post saying everyone in Trump's administration, and I quote, that claims to be a Christian needs to fall on their knees and beg. Or maybe just stop this Christian virtue signaling, you know? It's just an idea. So, conclusion. What are the alternatives? Well, there are two, one more likely than the other. The first, the less likely alternative to the 25th Amendment. And we've got 10 minutes, so we're doing good. Impeachment. Yeah, I know. We tried it twice, didn't stick. I honestly don't know what would, because it might be one of those things. And I pray to God, people like Jamie Raskin and the other guy whose name's Garcia, might not be Garcia. One of the others whose face I can see, but whose name's just fallen completely out of my head. I hope that they are just getting all the ducks in a row, so that when the numbers work, we can move towards impeachment. And Jesus Christ, that's going to be a long fucking queue, isn't it? Who do you do first? Like Laura was saying earlier in another conversation we were having, cut the head off that snake, and then we'll see what grows back in its place, and we'll cut all those off as well if we need to. So, it is a constitutional mechanism. It is rarely used, but I guess if the 25th Amendment has never been used, at least impeachment's been used more often than that. Shall we find those silver linings? There you go. The mechanics are straightforward. So a simple majority in the House to impeach, and then 2/3 of the Senate i.e., 67 votes to convict and remove. Trump, as we know, has already rode this roller coaster twice. He was acquitted both times because the Republicans. Yeah, I know, Beverly, so many to impeach. It's just, too much choice. We are literally spoilt for choice. Right now, as you know, Republicans control both the House and the Senate. So impeachment is pretty much dead on arrival. But like I said, ducks, line them up. There's good chaps and chapesses. Please be ready. We don't need clocks counting down and all that nonsense. Just be ready, okay? We're doing what we can. I am sitting here at midnight in the middle of London, a 50-year-old woman with my kids asleep upstairs, talking into the void because I just can't do nothing. And this is what I've got. You congressmen and women, you have much more than I've got. So fucking do your jobs, please. Sorry about the language. Not really. That was a sorry, not sorry. But please, big please, little fucking. Anyway, so the earliest realistic opportunity is going to be the 2026 midterms. And yes, I know we are putting all of our eggs in one very precarious basket. And you can see that they're already trying to shape the table that basket's sitting on and knock it flying and all our eggs with it. But we've got to stop them at every point they try and interfere. We've just got to keep on it. And wonderful, wonderful people like Democracy Docket, Democracy Forward, Mark Elias, Zateo, the ACLU, and the NAACP. There's just so many wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people who are keeping an eye on this fucking bed of crooks and jumping in to stop them every time they try and take advantage. And that's what we've got to do. We cannot rest. It is exhausting. And I don't know why I'm saying we. I'm not even there. I mean, it's affecting me now. Of course, it's affecting me. It's affecting the whole world. Who's the little place where the sugar or the coffee or the chocolate? Madagascar. I think it's Madagascar. Have just announced a 15-day energy crisis because of the problem in the Middle East. Who's to say that's not going to be us next? This is not just because I care about people and now I have some wonderful, wonderful people across the pond that I really care about. It's because it affects me too. The old adage, America sneezes and the UK catches a cold. Please stop sneezing. Use a handkerchief. The crook of your arm. The hand sanitizer. Come on, did we learn nothing in COVID? Anywho. So, midterms. Keep focused. Keep your eye on the prize, folks, and do whatever we've got to do in the meantime to get us there. So the Democrats need to flip at least 3 House seats to take the majority. And Trump knows it. I think he was quoted as saying in January, if we don't win the midterms, it's going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. Oh, yes, praise the Lord. He's not wrong about the maths. The question is whether Democrats would even pursue it. The leadership is really lukewarm. Now, Hakeem Jeffries has come out with that statement that I read earlier, but it's just words. Fucking Schumer, Jeffries, people, put a rocket up your asses and get something done, please. People are suffering way more. Yeah, I couldn't go away for Easter with my kids to visit my family because I was scared I wouldn't be able to afford to fill the car up with petrol because it's gone up by 20p a litre, which is, what's that, times 4 for a gallon. So that's like 80p a gallon. So that's over $1 a gallon in the UK since the war started. It's how much it's gone up. and I'm on a fixed income and I can't afford to take the chance. Really not a big deal when you think about the suffering of many, many families in the United States, and then compare that on top of that to the suffering of families in Iran and in Lebanon. I'm not complaining. I'm not. I know. You know, we're lucky. We're lucky. And it is just luck to be born where you were born. But that means we've got to try and help. We've got to do our bit. We don't have to make ourselves ill. We don't have to worry ourselves sick. We just have to show up. Just do a little bit of showing up every day. Don't have to do a big gesture. Don't have to go out on rallies with very big signs with fabulous artwork from Chris Palomino. Please check out Chris Palomino if you haven't. She's got the most beautiful artwork. If you go into any protests, she's your girl. She's got it all on her Substack, and you can have it for $0. And just, take a few photographs so that she can share in your enjoyment of her beautiful, beautiful creations. But yeah, let's just show up a little bit every day. Talk to another person. Keep talking about what's important. Keep talking about how we hold on to democracy. That's what's important. Democracy, not red or blue. Having the right to choose red or blue. Everyone. Anywho, let's continue because we're nearing the end. You'll be pleased to hear. Yes, so would they? I don't know. One member close to Hakeem Jeffries said off the record, "It's a waste of time. He's been there, done that." Great. That's really fucking reassuring. Thanks. Could you maybe change your fucking attitudes, please? Another warned it would be a huge mistake that could cost them the 2028 presidential race. There isn't going to be a 2028 presidential race if you don't fucking do something, people. Jesus Christ almighty. Sorry, I'm not meaning to blaspheme. Anyhow, even if the Democrats win the House, conviction in the Senate is still going to require some Republican crossover, significant numbers, even if the blue tsunami continues and there's some movement in the Senate. It's not going to be enough. There will have to be Republicans voting against dear leader. So that's where we are. Do you want to hear some betting odds? Because, we're all twinned with Polymarket now here on Substack. I don't mean that. I have nothing to do with betting Polymarket or any of the like. It's all just for rich people to play with and ruin the rest of our lives with. Amazing. I'm nearly done. Thank you, Amy, my beautiful secretary. Beautiful, unpaid, unthanked, unrewarded secretary. So, would you like to hear the Polymarket betting odds for some of the things we've been talking about? Of course you would, because, facts, isn't it? So, Polymarket, current odds on Trump impeachment sometime in 2026. Current odds 11%. It's gone down. It was 14% in March. So that's not very reassuring. Do you want to hear how that compares to the odds for a nuclear detonation before June the 30th? Do you? Do you? Well, you can't. And I will tell you for why. The market on that particular bet was pulled. And you're not going to believe this, folks, but Polymarket briefly hosted a market on whether a nuclear weapon would be detonated by the end of 2026. It attracted over $800,000 in bets. At its peak, shortly after the US-Israeli strikes on Iran began, traders were pricing in a 22% chance of a nuclear detonation by year end. So it's twice as likely according to those odds, that he's going to hit the nuclear button than that he's going to get impeached. So I'm not sure that this is our way forward either necessarily. Polymarket pulled the market in early March after massive backlash amid concerns that government insiders with access to classified military planning could be trading on it. No, they wouldn't do that, would they? They wouldn't do that. No. Or would they? We just asked the questions. Before they pulled it, 22% chance. The odds were 22% on a nuclear detonation, 11% Trump getting impeached this year. Just giving you the information. Not here to, I've lost the phrase. Anyway, so the 25th Amendment was designed by people who'd watched a president govern from a sickbed and another die with no plan in place. They built a mechanism for exactly that kind of moment, the kind of moment we appear to be living through. It will almost certainly never be used, because the people who'd need to use it are the people who owe everything to the man that they would need to use it against. It's not perfect by a long shot. The mechanism exists, the political will does not. Section 4 remains as it has always been, a beautiful piece of constitutional architecture that no one will ever unlock. So yes, in all likelihood, we're only really faced with one potential saviour. Come on, little blood clot. I'm sorry. I don't wish harm on anybody, but Jesus fucking Christ, just put him out of action, in a completely unpainful way. Just move him on. God's sake. Anywho, that brings us to the end of today's little shitty chat about the 25th Amendment, impeachment, and what our options are. And unfortunately, we're still kind of relying on the hand of God and his very poor diet, which doesn't fill me with much hope. But do you know what? Just means we're going to have to keep showing up. Just a little bit each day, all of us together. Keep talking about the Epstein files, keep standing up for democracy, make sure everyone around you is able to vote, however difficult they may make it. Do your bit, and we can. Substack is a fantastic place to be. Watch the people that we watch. We are all about finding ways to take part in defending democracy, and we would love to have you along for the ride if you're not already there. I suspect most of you are. If I may, and this is the moment where if you aren't a person of faith and you prefer not to be involved in anything remotely relating to faith, we absolutely respect your right to do that. And we say thank you for being with us, and you may leave. The class is over for you. But if anybody would like to join with us in prayer, I was searching because it really mattered to me today with everything that was going on for the right prayer for today. Sometimes we finish with a piece of prose, sometimes we finish with a poem, sometimes we finish with a prayer. And tonight I found from my nascent church, the church that I was brought up in, that I don't particularly adhere to, believe in. I have a God in my life, and we don't worry what flavor he, she, they are. God gives me guidance. I have free will to follow that guidance or go my own way. God is there to protect me, guide me, and God's got an awful lot on their hands at the moment. So God's totally cool with whatever we believe or don't believe. But I wanted to think about the people of Iran, because even though they are not getting smashed to smithereens tonight, I cannot imagine what it must be like, especially for the children, to have been thinking that might have been their last day on earth. And I can, I really struggle with that because it's not right. A humane society don't behave that way. And so, yes, I found this prayer by the Right Reverend Dr. Julie Francis Deckay, from Chelmsford in Essex in the UK. So not terribly far away from where I am in East London. And she's a Church of England Reverend. So if you would all like to join with me, anyone who wishes to. Ever loving God, who hears us in our anguish and distress and longs for us to be free. We pray for the people of Iran and the wider Middle East at this time of fear and uncertainty. Be near to those who are anxious. Bring comfort to all who are suffering. Guide those with the power to make decisions and lead them in the ways of wisdom, compassion, and moderation, that people of goodwill would seek harmony and reconciliation. Join us with our brothers and sisters in all places in praying for peace with justice. Through him who is the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. It was just important for me to finish with a message to the Iranian people if they're ever unfortunate enough to accidentally come across my podcast. Just to know, you're not alone. There's not a lot we can do, but whatever little we can do, we're trying. We really are. We've got people from the UK, Canada, the United States, and we're all praying that this gets resolved and no more innocent people are harmed before it's all sorted out. And we're sorry. We're just really sorry. So, with that, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our new guest. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here and really, really appreciate you being involved and keeping me honest, keeping me on my toes, challenging me when I'm going off down a rabbit hole. It's really good. That's why we're here, because we learn from each other. And what is the point in having a mind if you're not prepared to change it? A quote from a British radio presenter, Mr. James O'Brien, who's a very, very, very wise man. And I haven't always agreed with him, but I changed my mind. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, that gives you a little bit of time if you're going over to Glenn Kirshner's wonderful Substack Live at past to top up your drinks, plump up your cushions, empty your bladders and whatever else needs emptying. I've got the cat's litter box to do. And we will all be back here on Thursday, which is the Mamas meeting. So that'll be myself and potentially Laura and potentially Summer, depending on how commitments allow us all to be there. But I will be here and somebody will be with me. Who knows who it will be? You find out on Thursday. If you don't find out, if you don't come back, you don't find out. So, there's a little incentive there. Paid subscribers will get the show notes and all the receipts because we bring the receipts here. We don't talk shit just because, we like the sound of our own voices. We're trying to, as a community, educate ourselves and learn a little bit more about things we didn't know about yesterday. That's all. So that we can make smart decisions about how we can help. And yes, so paid subscribers, you will get the show notes and the receipts up after the show. The podcast will go up shortly after the show. I would do all my homework before going to bed. Oh, Beverly, bless you. Don't worry. I think if you do subscribe in the future, you can get all the stuff that you couldn't see before. Anyway, if you want the receipts, and if anybody wants the receipts, sorry, I should say that if anybody wants receipts for anything that I've said in any of my live shows, please just ask, even if you're not a paid subscriber, because if you just thinking, I'm not sure that's true, Mama, Can you tell me where you found that from? Absolutely, 100%. Drop me a message. No problem. Anytime. Free, gratis, $0. All right. All right, my lovelies. Yes. Oh, so Beverly, Laura says, because it's UK, mine sent me a text after it declined and I could approve it. But there you go. I know that there's options, aren't there? And I'm never going to dissuade you from throwing money my way. Yes, we do freak out in the UK. It's a UK thing. What can I tell you? We're a little bit, but not, completely. So, do we have hope? Yeah, of course we do, because we're still here and we're going to keep talking about it. And there are so many people like us, and we're going to stick together and we're going to get it sorted. All right. So, my darlings, I will see you back here on Thursday, same time, same place. Very much looking forward to it. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for helping me to expand my mind, my opinions, my consciousness in your very, very lovely company. And I'm afraid until next time, the cafe is now closed.